So, hi guys, in today's video, I'm going to be ranking Overwatch heroes, on how good I think they are. Enjoy, I guess. This is based on, like, what I've currently seen in the matches and stuff, and some of it is personal opinion. However, most of it is going to be fact. So, we're going to start with D.Va. I think D.Va's going to be a B tier, because, like, I don't see D.Va getting that much in pro play. And like she is good, kind of, but she doesn't seem to be very oppressive in the way that she has been earlier. And especially with, I mean, Juno's been changed a bit, so the D.Va speed ring bomb, that was fun, and it made her strong at the time, but since then I think she's become a lot worse. And especially with the perks, she's not the tank that she used to be. And therefore I think she's fallen off ever so slightly to being a B tier rather than S or A. I'm going to Doomfist last with the tanks, as well as Hazard as well. And then we're going to go to Ramatra. I think Ramatra's an A tier tank because I've seen a bunch of him in OWCS recently. He's pretty solid, he's pretty strong, he feels pretty nice as far as tanks goes. He's got a better perks, which allow him to exceed better than D.Va does. And then Junker Queen. I feel like she's also a beta. I feel like Junker Queen, the way you play her, I mean, like, it can work. I think she goes top of B, but I feel like she kind of struggles ever so slightly more in comparison to other tanks. Purely because she can't really support she can't support the rest of her team as well in comparison to other tanks, and I feel as if that may slightly draw her back, even though she's very brawl reliant. Mauga. When I first came back to this game, I did a lot of Mauga as tank. I know, shocking to admit. He's very easy, but I think he goes 8 for a reason. Because he's really nice against Hog in this current meta that we're in. He does really well against Orisa, I find. He does decently against Ramatra, decently against Reinhardt. He's just overall, I think, a pretty solid tank. And then we have Orisa here. Orisa's currently also on meta, so it's a bit of a nasty one, but we're just gonna line him up here. I think Orisa's perks really allow her to shine, especially how she can have an entire shield, which is really nice. And on top of that, it's a cooldown shield, so it's a cooldown. So whenever she uses it, it's always going to be full. Reinhardt. Reinhardt does not feel very loved, I'm afraid. I think he's going to go B tier. He doesn't feel that strong, and unless you have like some speed, like a Lucio or a Juno, you're not catching up to the enemies, and you're not going to be able to kill them very well. Roadhog. I think he goes here. Yeah. Roadhog with his pen trap and everything, it's pretty nasty, especially that perk where you get the trap reloads ammo and gives reloads take a breather and gives over over health or over ability use to that one. It makes him really nasty, and I think it could be called to give him a nerf because of it. And then we have Sigma. Sigma, Poke. I don't feel like Poke is very favored right now. So I'd probably put him. Actually, no, we're going to put Reinhardt down in C. We're going to put him here. He doesn't feel very strong right now. And especially with Poke being. It doesn't feel that strong. I mean, other than Freya, but even so. Yeah, if you're playing Freya, there's other tanks which are better to run other than a Sigma. Winston. Winston's not a pack leader. I'd probably put him here. Just ahead of Sigma because he can feel like he holds his own slightly better, but I don't know. I feel like since the perks, Winston feels to me like he's kind of slipped behind ever so slightly. Since his lethal edge feels that it has decreased to a point where I'm less inclined to play him over other tanks. Then we have got Wrecking Ball. I think we're gonna put ball here, maybe. No, above Junker Queen. Um, because ball is like a strong tank, sure, but I don't feel like Wrecking Ball is nasty enough. Well, I mean, he gets banned a chunk, but I feel like the amount of time you'd need to spend into learning Ball to be somewhat decent at him may somewhat offset his power level. We're just gonna do a bit more balancing here on the heroes. Maybe just for me, to be fair. And then Hazard. I think I'm gonna put Hazard in A tier as well. Because I feel like Hazard's got a relatively low skill floor, and he's also got a relatively high skill ceiling, and he feels like he's a pretty strong tank, and he feels nice, especially because of his block, his shield, which is his block. Well, it's his block, and then he's got that like the kind of May ice wall that he can shove behind the enemies, and if you're playing on the correct maps, Hazard feels pretty oppressive, and I'd keep him that. And then Doomfist. I mean, when I came back to the game originally, I played Doom first, and I liked him. I liked him a lot. He felt pretty good. Would I make some changes to his kit? Probably, but he doesn't. He didn't feel that strong. Like he didn't feel crazy good. And then there's Zarya. I mean, I think the bands speak for themselves, don't they? With Zarya, they do a lot of speaking. Um, just getting banned like a lot of games Zarya does. Pretty sure Zarya's got a really high ban rate right now. I would need to check, but she's got a high ban rate. And she's pretty oppressive to a point where if your team's not using their heads properly, she can run through your whole team pretty easily. And now moving on to the damages or the DPSs. Let's filter them through hit scans and then other, really. I mean, even though they're not everyone who's been put on the hit scan side, not all of them are hit scans, but when it comes to like how they're used, they are kind of more of the hit scan type, rather than anything else. Let's just make sure I've included them all. Yeah, I think I have included them all on the hit scan side. Now, let's start off with I think the strongest one, Freya. Even after the nerfs, she's still really strong. She can still dominate the game, and she really has a presence to a point where you need to respect her. And I'd argue that banning her is almost a must, because she's really nasty and strong. Ashe. A tier? Is that A tier too high? I mean, her role gets taken over by Freya a lot now, and she feels a bit worse, but she can still control high ground fairly well due to Coach Gun. So I think A tier is fair still. Bastion, he's one of those heroes where he's only really as useful as he's in turret form, and the second he's not in turret form, he feels a bit like a freer kill, especially if you're playing any of the heroes who've got higher damage potentials in certain moments. He becomes a free kill, and he becomes a worse version of Soldier when he's not in turret form. But when he's in turret form, he's lethal. But it's it's such kind of a disadvantage to have a good mode and then a bad mode. So he gets put in B tier because he is pretty bad. I like that one. And then we go to Widow. I feel like the problem of like Widow and Hanzo, as far as they go, I feel like their problem's kind of been solved. They don't feel as oppressive anymore as they used to, which is nice to see, because I hate it how back in the day, blame me. I was playing what's it, King's Row and stuff, and a Widow would just be dominating the map, or dominating portions of a map, so I couldn't push, and it made it really annoying because they were really oppressive at Widow, and it's great to see that they're just not not there anymore. And then we've got McCree. Yeah, we're gonna put McCree in A tier as well. Even though it feels like we're in a meta where it's more long range, and especially dominated by Freya, McCree can't really stand up to her. But McCree's still a solid pick, especially with a flashbang, which helps against a Hazard or a Doomfist or Winston. Preventing them from being able to escape is a really big deal, which I think gives him the edge over these guys so far. Hanzo's gonna be in beta ahead of Widow. Actually, no, ahead of Helm, because I think Hanzo provides more utility for the team than a Bastion does. With the one shots being part of the utility, with the ability to with one of their abilities being Sonic Arrow, which reveals locations of enemies, and the ultimate just being a space denier. Like, I mean, Hanzo's ult isn't really gonna get kills, but it certainly can prevent people from reaching a certain location, and it can force people out of it, which I think is a massive W for them. For Hanzo, that is. Sojourn. I played a lot of Sojourn recently, and oh my god, it feels so good. The railgun feels really nice. It feels really strong. Being able to one-shot headshot you through a perk is really nice. The what's it called? It's the perk which allows an ability to stick to people. That one's really nice because it can allow you to allows you to finish kills. And then when they die, they typically bring it towards their team, which gives you even more ult charge, so you get your ult faster, which is really nice. And I think she just goes that. And then Soldier 76, he just goes here, because he's just got, you know, he just has like a constant damage, and it's not that strong. Like, if I'd compare Soldier to the only other hero that I feel is a fair comparison to him, which is different game, Marvel Rivals, in comparison to Punisher, but Punisher feels so much better than Soldier does. Because, I mean, Soldier's ult isn't that great anymore. Well, not anymore, it just isn't that great. Because, like, a barrier can block it entirely, it can be, you know. And I feel like he just isn't as strong as he once was. Like, granted, his perks are nice. I mean, the one where you hit your Helix rockets and you get 15 extra ammo, that's nice. But I don't think it's enough for him. I don't think it makes him a better pick than any of these other hit scans up here. To a point where I reckon most of these would win in a 1v1 almost any time. And then Reaper. Where do we put Reaper? I think we'll put Reaper in beta, because he doesn't feel that strong to me personally. I don't see him getting banned. In a lot of comp games I've been playing, I haven't seen any Reapers really. OWCS, I haven't seen any Reapers either. Generally speaking, I just haven't seen Reaper. I don't think he's really had a very strong time so far. And I believe Reaper could probably get buffed and they could get away with it. Now, Pharah. Let's move on to Pharah. Pharah's flying. She's pretty annoying. I had a game with her today, and she steamrolled me. But she was kind of the main problem. And even as doing double hit scan, there was the Far Mercy, and I couldn't break it through. And she plays in like a pokey brawl style to a point where she can kind of fit in with this, and she can dive in at any time, and she's nasty. She is. May. Honestly, May is really strong. May is just nasty because her perks, I mean, honestly, being slowed down and then also being frozen by May is too far. They went too far with that one. I feel like she did not need to be that strong with her abilities. Being able to freeze people? What? That's Overwatch 1 stuns, and nobody liked that. I don't think anyone will like it, other than the May mains. But she's still really strong because of it. Junkrat, A B tier, I think. I mean, Junkrat doesn't feel that strong to me. I feel like Junkrat, you're kind of, especially against Freya, you can't really touch her, and against Sojourn, he just kind of feels like free kill. And unless you're a good Junkrat, which let's be real, there aren't many of them, um, you're just gonna be kind of like feeding support ults and struggling to get kills, which is almost what Pharah does. But at least with Pharah, you can do a lot, with your presence. You kind of command, like, you demand attention. You demand their focus. You demand kind of a hit scan as an answer. And even with a hit scan as an answer, sometimes you can work around it, If you apply enough pressure through other ways, or if you get enough support, you can work around it. As a Pharah versus Junkrat, he just isn't gifted like that. He can't work around it. Echo. I think Echo gets A tier. No, I think Echo goes here. Cause Echo, yeah, you can copy anyone, but I haven't seen much of her. Quick play comp OWCS, I haven't seen her much, and I feel like even though she now has a perk where she can copy allies, which is nice, I don't think it's enough for her to really be strong. I don't think she's got enough as of now to be powerful enough to define matters. And I feel like if you want a flyer, I'd probably just go for Farah, because even though she's worse at dueling in the air, basically none of the cast can fly. And those that can, being Farah, other Farahs and Echoes, you can ignore them for the most part. You don't really need to do aerial duels. Because it isn't necessarily whoever controls the sky wins the battle. Because you can have a Farah on your team and still not win, you know? Um, and then we're moving on to Genji. I think Genji's going to be an A tier hero. He feels very strong in this state. I mean, granted, I'm a bit sad that he's lost 6 ammo, I think. I think he lost 6. Because it means you've got less shotgun shots. But he still feels pretty strong. And I'd still say that Genji is pretty powerful. And I don't think my opinion on that's ever going to change. Because he just feels pretty strong. And then we've got Sombra. Then we're going to put Sombra in top of B tier? Nah. Then we're going to put her here. Sombra's in A tier. I mean, she gets banned a lot. So it's more difficult for me to gather just how strong Sombra is. Because she's got like a 90 or an 80% ban rate. So it's ridiculous. So it's the community is definitely sending a message about how they feel about Sombra. I personally don't think she's that powerful. And I believe there are ways to work around her. To a point where I don't think she deserves S tier. I could argue B tier, but I think she's better than McCree and Farah on your team. That is. Sim. Sim solid. I think with the perk that gives Sim the 4th Sim turret, she becomes really nasty. I've just realized that A tier's become almost like a B tier but extended. So let's just do a bit of numerical spreading. There we go. That looks nicer. And I've decided, Sim is pretty strong. And her beam really allows her to push through. Her beam, well, it's her turrets. And the fact that you can have 4 Sim turrets as a perk, and it's the tier 1 perk, makes it really nasty. And then the teleporter, I mean, to be fair, I'm not too sure which is the better major perk. I haven't, played Sim long enough yet to figure that one out. But they both seem valuable, and they both seem like they have good things to give Sim. And on top of that, I'm not sure if it was taken back, but you attack with Sim and you attack shields, and you regen shields faster. It's pretty strong. Now Torb. It wasn't that long ago when it was a Torb Sim meta. And quite frankly, I think it would be pretty funny if that returned. But I think I'm gonna put Torb in here. We're gonna knock Bastion down as well. I don't think he really deserves beta, because he doesn't seem very powerful or very impacting on the game. Sorry, back to Torb. I like Torb's kit. I like his perks, I think they're all really nice, they're all really good. They all allow Torb to be played in a different ways. They allow Torb in some ways to be played in a very interesting manner, to a point where Torb is no longer 2D, he becomes 3D with his turret. And that's one of the perks, and it's my favorite perk for Torb, because it allows the Torb to have like two different angles to shoot from. Like you can use your turret and stick it to a ceiling, and then the enemy has to choose what to shoot you or to shoot the turret, and it's really nice. I personally think it's really good, and I think it really helps Torb in his strengths and in his abilities and in his way to fight off against multiple different heroes. It means that even if you do kill a Torb, which with him being able to go 350 HP, it can be sometimes tough. The turret can kill you afterwards. It may be the thing you don't see coming. It may be behind you, and it may make you turn your head long enough for the Torb to die to kill you from far away, or it may give the enemy team's hazard long enough to jump in and kill you while you're focused on the turret. And I think it's really, I think Torb deserves to be there. I think you could probably argue that Torb would be higher up. I think I'm gonna put Torb above Sim. Even though Sim can have 4 turrets, I think Torb's turret being able to be placed anywhere as a perk, I think that makes him really strong. And then we're moving on to Tracer. I think Tracer goes A tier. She's kind of like a staple. Just about most DPS players on pro tier, pro level know how to play Tracer. She's almost always going to be there in some form of capacity. She's really strong. She plays nice. She's really nice to play, especially when you're like tickling the back line. She can be used to do so many different things, and I think the creativity you can have with Tracer is seemingly limitless. And that's why I think Sim deserves. Sim. I think that's why Tracer deserves A tier. I was locked on Sim for too long, wasn't I? And then Venture. Venture was a hero that I really liked on her launch. And I really liked Venture when I originally came back in like December, after I disliked Rivals for a bit. But now she feels a lot weaker, and she feels worse to a point where I'm questioning if she is as strong as I'd like her to be. So I probably would put her down here, because it feels like where I would have been able to duel a Reaper and win, I'm now losing that duel. And with one of her perks extending her range, it feels pretty terrible. And it feels like they had a Venture playstyle, but it feels like they may have ignored it and entirely forgotten how it was supposed to be after some time, because she doesn't feel the same. And now Ana. Well, moving on to support. In my opinion, I think Ana's a staple. Hold up, let's just fill up Aether slightly. And then also fill up Aether and Esther, just to help the spreading. As to, yeah, Ana's really strong. I really like her anti-nade. I think it really gives her enough utility. On top of that, the sleep dart, which gives even more utility. And that's why I think Ana's probably my favorite support. Probably trailed by Juno. And then after Juno, maybe Kiriko and then Baptiste. I think they're my favorite favorite 4 supports. Purely because of the utility they can provide and how they can influence a team fight through their own unique abilities and how they all feel relatively different, but they have similar core aspects. Juno. I see a bunch of Juno still. She's also getting S tier. She's very strong. Well, she's not very strong, but the ability she has of hyperloop with the speed is really nice. Juno also has the flight, so she's pretty good at self-sustaining. Her pulsar torpedoes, they're also really nice, and they allow her to have a pretty large impact on the game. I really like it. Kiriko goes A tier, mainly. I mean, her cleanse is really nice. Her swift step is really nice, but I feel like when it comes to utility like these other guys, I feel like she kind of lacks a bit more, and her perks don't quite stand up to their perks. I feel like Ana's got extremely good perks for support. Juno's got pretty nice perks for support. And Kiriko just doesn't feel like she's quite there. When it comes to the perks, they don't feel quite as good. Baptiste, also his perks aren't as good. I mean, I'm aware that Baptiste is currently... There is a Baptiste Lifeweaver meta, or which is pretty interesting, um, which I may cover another time. But it's interesting, the meta. But he provides the utility of the Immortality Field, or Lamp, which is really strong. I mean, the Immortality itself is just really nice. It means that anti doesn't really matter while it's up, that is. It's also got a decent bit of health, and I feel like his perks are all pretty nice. They're pretty solid. Moira, Dita, get her out of here, bro. I don't want to see another Moira in my life. On my team, I mean, I'm okay to deal with an enemy Moira, because Moira doesn't really impact how I play. I don't play Genji, by the way. Moira doesn't impact how I play, and Moira just is irritating. Like, for me, there's no reason to play Moira. She doesn't have the best damage, because if I wanted to damage as support, I'd play Zan. She doesn't have the most. She may have the most healing, but that's all she can provide really, is damage and healing. She's got no utility. She's got no anti, got no cleanse, got no immortality, no speed boost, no way to apply extra damage to the enemy team. You know, no knockback, no shield or anything. And she just goes Dita, because like all she's really got is her stats, which are damage and healing, and that's it. Ilyari's got pretty nice healing, but you know, the damage, it's like if you're having an Ilyari as your backline, it's an interesting start, because you kind of need to be very heavily damage orientated, either using a Baptiste or a Zenyatta to go in with because you're going full damage at that point with an Ilyari. And she can be pretty oppressive with her ultimate, which can get like an entire team wipe, especially if you use it properly. Makes her really nasty, makes her a decent threat, or a great threat at times. But I just don't think she's got the her utility just doesn't measure up to the big boys, to the big boy league of these guys. Zenyatta. Zenyatta also goes beta, because Zenyatta, I mean, his healing doesn't really hold up to the other supports, and granted his ultimate gives good healing, but he can't attack in it, and his ultimate only gives him immortality, which is good. It makes him go to full HP. It also has insane healing potential and insane healing values, but he just, his Discord orbit enough, it doesn't feel like it's a great enough threat. It doesn't feel like it gives him that edge over other supports, which allows him to thrive, and therefore I don't think I'd give Zenyatta like a higher rating. Let's start off with Mercy then. I think Mercy's a C tier. Not because Mercy herself is terrible. In my opinion, she kind of is. But it's just, she's only got healing and damage boost, which is a level up of utility from Moira. Which is, as well as her having good movement, as well as the res, which is also good utility. But I just don't like to see a Mercy on my team, because I know that at the end of the day, Mercy is going to be heal botting or damage boosting, which means Mercy relies on someone else to do all the hard work. And I feel like your impact on the game as Mercy is fairly minimal, especially in comparison to any of the supports above her. Because, I mean, yes, you may be able to get a crucial res in, or you could have been able to make the pressure go away, or you could have allowed your team to run away from the pressure sooner. Pressure could be mitigated, could run away from it, could stop the enemy's pressure, stop the enemy's pressure through your own pressure. And then Lifeweaver, I personally dislike Lifeweaver, and I personally don't want to see him on my team. But he's better than Mercy. because he's got more. I feel like he's got a greater healing potential than Mercy does, and I feel like he also provides more utility, being able to life grip people, and as well as his perk, the cleansing one. It's beautiful. It's kind of like a Kiriko Suzu, but it's not as strong, obviously. Um, and pedal platform, which entirely counters her ultimate. Sorry, I'm gonna have to put him up a bit. I'm glazing him even more. The fact he's also part meta with Baptiste right now, it also helps his cause. Um, and I think he's really good actually, as far as the off supports go, or the main supports. I think he's up there. He's, you know, no, I can't put him in Eta. I can't. That's reserved for these two. These two are an S or Eta. Um, and he's good. No, I can put him in Eta. I can do it. I can do it to myself. 'Cause he deserves it. He's good. He's good. He's really good. And I think he's a really good support. And over the recent days, recent streams, recent hours spent crying, bleeding, and there's been a lot of sweat because my room's been like 32 degrees. Um, there's been a lot of sweat. Um, I I've come to appreciate Life even more, and I don't think he's as much of a terrible hero anymore, and to a point where I'll respect him, maybe. However, I'm not very good at him, and I do some pretty terrible Life Weaver grabs, but I'll accept it. Lucio goes in S tier because he's one of the best main supports there is. The speed up is a really nice utility, as well as the booping around and the ability to increase your boop's power makes him really nice. His ultimate is basically a kind of a get out of jail free card, as it allows you to survive this ultimate, this ultimate, this ultimate, this ult, 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 this ult. You basically survive every ultimate in the game, other than maybe whose ult would you maybe not survive through Lucio's beat. I don't know. I don't think there's any that you wouldn't survive. Maybe a Diva Bomb if you're right in its face. Or maybe a Mei ult if you get frozen. But Deadeye. Deadeye may kill you throughout. But even then, you should be fine. Like, Lucio's ult should give you enough time to be able to run away, and so the way Deadeye does not kill you. Brig, I think I'm gonna put Brig top of beta. She's not as strong as she was originally, I feel like. And I feel like she's kind of moved down in her power, and I feel like in comparison to other heroes and the other off supports, I feel like her place is maybe being taken by Lifeweaver. I mean, like, she still is a really good backliner. And she can really help support a Ana, a Juno, a Kiri, or maybe not a Kiri, maybe not a Bap, but she really feels really strong, and she still is a good support. But I feel like when it comes down to it, she just isn't as no, she goes there. She goes above Lifeweaver. Sorry, she just isn't as dominant as I feel like she used to be. But yeah, that's the end of the video, folks. Hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry if I speak too slow. Ace, and I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe. Please like. Please follow me on Twitch, and please join the Discord. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.